All right, this is lesson 9.5. We're going to be translating between equations and graphs. A linear equation is an equation whose solutions form a straight line. So notice in the word linear, you do see the word line. So anytime you have a linear equation, that means that if you were to go graph that, it would make a straight line, like what we were doing yesterday. All those lines, that meant that those were linear equations. So when you have a linear equation, any point that falls on that line could be a solution. All right, so looking at the example. A blue whale is swimming at an average rate of 3 miles per hour. Let's underline that. That's important. 3 miles per hour. That's your rate. Write a linear equation that gives the distance y, so our distance is y, in miles that the whale swims in x hours. So see right here where we see the rate is 3 miles per hour? That means that you'd have to say 3 miles times the number of hours. So that means we're going to be saying, first off, distance is y. The rate is 3. And we're multiplying that by the number of hours, which will be our x. So a shorthand way of writing this would just be to say y equals 3x. So this is our linear equation. Okay? All right, so now what we're going to do is before we can graph it, we need some ordered pairs. So we're going to use this table to come up with our ordered pairs. When we put in, so we've got our linear equation, which is 3x, y equals 3x. So if I put in 1 for x, I'd say 3 times 1 is 3. So when I put in a 1 for x, I get a 3 for y. So that gives me the ordered pair, 1, 3. Then I'm going to put in a 2 for x. So 3 times 2 would be 6. So my ordered pair right here would be 2, 6. Then I'm going to put in 3 for x. So 3 times 3 is 9. My ordered pair would be 3, 9. And then I'm going to put in 4 for x. 3 times 4 is 12. So my ordered pair is 4, 12. Got that? Okay, so the next thing is we're going to take those. I don't know what's going on with that. Okay. We're going to take those ordered pairs and we're going to graph them here. So they've already graphed 1 and 3. So I'm looking at the ordered pair 1 and 3. Then I've got 2 and 6. So I'm going to graph that right here. Go ahead and graph yours. You will, but not right now. Then 3 and 9. 9's going to be right here in the middle of 8 and 10. So it's going to be about midway. And then 4 and 12. Okay, so those are just some of your ordered pairs. So now we're going to draw the line through it. So when we draw the line, we want to cover the entire graph. Use a protractor, kind of line it up, usually about midway through your dot. And then you'll start at the very top or the bottom, it doesn't matter to me. But you'll go all the way across like that. Listen to me. Make sure you're drawing your line to cover beyond just the dots. It has to cover the whole graph, okay? Not just your dots that you graph. And what that means is that anything, any point that would lie on here could be a solution. So even if we had 6 for x and 18 for y, that could be a solution also. So that anything that would fall on that line. So make sure you just draw your line to cover the entire graph. You see how I did that? Okay. All right, let's go to the next page. Alright, so now on this one, they're giving us the graph, and we've got to come up with the equation. The graph shows the number of beaded necklaces Y that Ginger can make in X hours. Write the linear equation for the relationship that's shown in our graph. So first, we're going to use these ordered pairs to complete this table. So notice when X is 0, Y is 0. When X is 1, Y is 2. When X is 3, Y is 6. And when X is 4, Y is 8. We're not going to worry about filling this part in. Let's look up here and see what we have to do. I'm going to skip the 0 and 0. So let's look at this. What would I have to do to 1 to get 2? It's increasing. So I'm either going to be adding or multiplying. What would I have to do to 3 to get 6? What would I have to do to 4 to get 8? Each one I'm having to multiply by 2, right? So that means I'm taking my X value and I'm multiplying by 2. How can I write that? How can I write that right here? Y equals, how do I show that I'm taking the X and multiplying by 2? Y equals what? Think back to what we did yesterday. 2x. Y equals 2x. Because this is like saying x times 2, but typically we write it this way. Any questions there? All right, let's look at number 1 on the bottom. Alright, so this time we're graphing the equation. So here the linear equation. They give us an equation. We're going to make a table. Then we're going to make ordered pairs to graph it. These crossed over from the other page, so just ignore those for now. Actually, I'm going to just white them out real quick. There. Alright, so right here, to solve this, I'd put in 2 for x and subtract 2, and that's how I got 0. Then I'd put in 4 for x and subtract 2 and get 2. You with me? Then I'd put in 6 for x, subtract 2 and get 4. And then I'd put in 8 for x, subtract 2 and get 6. So this right here gives me my ordered pairs. I have 2, 0, 4, 2, 6, 4, and 8, 6. There's your ordered pairs. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and graph those ordered pairs. So first I'm going to go over to 2, and since it's 0, I just stay right there. Then over to 4, up to 2. Then over to 6, and up to 4. Over to 8, and up to 6. Now the last thing you've got to do here is draw your line. Alright, so on the next one we have the equation y equals 3x, so that means y equals 3 times x. So we're just going to use, we've only got 3 numbers on the bottom. Let's use 1 for x, so let's say 3 times 1, which would be 3. So when I put in 1 for x, what did I get for y? Remember, this is the y, so I get 3 for y. Then let's go and use 3. So let's put in 3 for x. So 3 times 3 equals 9. So I put in 3 for x, and I got out 9 for y. actually, I'm going to stop there because notice if I graph 1 and 3, that's going to be right there. And if I graph 3 and 9, that's going to be right there. So I don't have a lot of room to do another one, do I? So we're just going to graph the 2 there. And then draw our line. So I didn't have to go through and actually plot every single one, which only would have been one other one that we could actually, one other whole number we could have graphed. Now there's decimals all through here. But it's a whole lot easier to graph whole numbers. Any questions there? What?
I don't get how these all the time when I draw them, they're always like off the dots even when I line them up.
I don't know what you're doing. I'll show you in a minute when we get done with this. You can show me what you're doing. But I mean, this is smooth. When I'm drawing my line, it does it. So I'm not really sure what you're doing. We'll look in a little bit while you are doing it on your own. Alright, so next, we're going to write the linear equation for this relationship here. So they give us the line, the graph, but now we've got to go back and write what the equation is. So first off, let's make a table. I'm just going to do it right down here. X's and Y's. Okay, so I'm going to take my ordered pairs. So when X is 2, Y is 1. When X is 4, Y is 3. When X is 6, Y is 5. And then we have the 8 and the 7. I don't need to keep going. So thinking back to what we did yesterday. It may not have been yesterday. It may have been the day before yesterday. What would I have to do to 2 to make it equal to 1? Minus 1. Does that work here? If I took 4 and subtracted 1, would I get 3? So each time, I'm taking that X value and I'm having to subtract 1. So that means my equation is going to be Y is equal to X minus 1. Does that make sense? Alright, for the next one, I'm going to do my table up here because there's a little more room to write it here. So my X's and my Y's. So right here I have 2 for X, 1 for Y. Then I have 4 for X, 2 for Y. 6 and 3, and then 8 and 4. This is going to be Y is equal to. What am I having to do to my Y's to make them equal to my, or what am I doing to my X's to make them equal to my Y? Divide by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. You're always going to do it to the X value, not the Y. So we're taking our X's and dividing by 2. So there's my equation. Does anybody have any questions? Alright, you're going to go ahead and finish the page. When you finish those, bring it to me and I'll check it.